Hey guys, Carl from Perfect Misplaced. Today I'm taking a preview look at a prototype copy of the upcoming campaign adventure sort of tactical battle game Gone to Gaia from designer Quinn and publisher Gauntlet Games. This is a game I've had my eye on for a while now. I first discovered it at PAX Unplugged last year. Very shocking / surprising to see a game of this type come from publisher Gauntlet. If you don't know already, Gauntlet's first game, which I did cover on this channel, was Keystone North America. It's a really cool sort of environmentally themed tile placement game where you're scoring based on adjacency and placement of animal tiles out onto a board. I really enjoyed it. It's a beautiful game, but it's a sort of lightweight / family weight spatial puzzler game. And the next game they did after that, I haven't had a chance to play it. I still really want to try it. But it's another sort of family weight level game, maybe slightly more complex, but around that family weight level, called Wild Gardens. I don't know much about it. Again, I'm very interested in trying it out, but I haven't had a chance to yet. In any case, seeing those two games, and then going to PAX Unplugged expecting to learn more about Wild Gardens, and I stopped in to check just a little bit on Wild Gardens at PAX Unplugged and saw a little sign on the counter at Gauntlet that said they were demoing a new sort of campaign big box game called Gone to Gaia. Well, it was towards the end of the day. I was sort of tired and out of things to do, and it was still a little bit of time left before the con was closing, and I decided to sign up for a demo of this game, and boy, am I glad I did. I sat down and was instantly very interested in what I was seeing. So I was luckily able to get a prototype copy of this game for this video, because I was very excited to dive in more and to be able to show off what I've seen and what I'm hoping to see from this game on this channel. So disclaimer, yes, I was given a prototype copy of this game for this video, but any bias that exists from getting that copy already existed from before when I played the demo at PAX Unplugged. So yes, there might be some bias in this video, but as always, I will do my best to give you my own honest opinion on the game. With that said, let's head down to the table to see how this one plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. Before I get started, I just want to point out a few things. First things first, this is a very early prototype of the game, which means the components you're going to see on the screen are not even close to final components, but it should give you an idea of how the game looks. In addition to that, the rules are constantly being updated and tweaked throughout this process and will continue being so. So what you see on screen may not be exactly representative of the final product. In fact, as I was playing through this in preparation for this video, things were constantly changing as well. The other thing I want to say here is that I will be playing through the second scenario or second quest of the game because several other people already have played through the first quest. If you do want to see the first quest, I would recommend heading over to see Mike at the One Stop Co-op Shop cover that first quest. But before I dive into things, let me just quickly go over what happened in the first quest and sort of the overall story of this game. So the story of Gone to Gaia is that sort of as humanity got stronger and stronger and more technologically advanced, the Earth sort of rebelled and fought back against us, creating this purple poisonous mist called the Tide, destroying most of humanity. And now 1,000 years later, it's still there, still sort of mutating creatures into weird, strange creatures and sort of slowly fighting or destroying the population of the Earth. And sort of the remaining population lives at the top of a mountain in this area called Bird's Nest. And they've got these sort of giant diving suits called Delver suits that people are putting on going down into the mist to sort of explore down there, come back with pieces of these creatures that they can use to sort of develop better, newer technologies, ultimately trying to find Gaia, this sort of beacon that they see in the purple mist off in the far distance. So in the first chapter or the first quest of this game, basically us as new graduates of this Delver school had our final test to go down into the mist and retrieve our Delver tags to sort of prove ourselves as a sort of graduation final exam kind of thing. After coming back, we did have a chance to go to the library to do a little studying about the world around us, and I did do a bit of shopping to upgrade, which I will show you as soon as we get into setup. So we are diving into the second chapter, meaning the second quest. So let's go ahead and jump into the story for that. I should then point out here that this is a story-based narrative campaign game, so there will be a little bit of story spoiler going on in this. If you do want to skip ahead to different sections of this playthrough, meaning just seeing the mechanical pieces of the playthrough, feel free to use the timestamps down below. So here we go, entering chapter 2. And it says, the children of Gaia. When you arrive at the meeting point, you find Father Flores giving a sermon to a group of children. They're far too young to take the delving aptitude test, so you wonder why they're so close to the shore. Curious, you listen in. My children, do you see that beautiful light in the distance? That is Gaia. A boy raises his hand. Father, what is Gaia? What a wonderful question. Gaia is a manifestation of the earth. She came to us in a time of need to guide us towards salvation. Someday, one of you may have the honor of becoming a delver. If it is your fate, Gaia will guide you to her. The children are spellbound, absorbing every word. You hear footsteps behind you and turn to see Master Bram. At his side floats a peculiar robot. Father Flores quickly wraps up his sermon and his two attendants corral the attendees away. They get younger and younger every year, Bram murmurs. Father Flores watches the children return to town. With the way things have gone lately, it's best to prepare them early. Bram nods. Flores hands you a pair of binoculars and directs your eyeline to the outer perimeter. Delvers, do you see anything unusual? After a few minutes, you find it, a gap in the net of surveillance cameras floating just above the canopy. One of my disciples at the watchtower recently detected a disturbance at this location, and as you can see, we've lost the surveillance device. Recovering the camera would allow us to review its hard drive and potentially discover what brought it down. With luck, we may even be able to repair it. I appreciate your help with this vital mission. Delvers, Master Bram says, his voice steady. The path ahead takes you deeper into the tide, where great perils lurk. From now on, you won't go alone. He draws your attention to the squat, humming machine at his side. This is Witness. He's useless in a fight, but he'll haul your gear for you, and should you fall in the mist, he'll bring your bodies home. The name stirs a memory. You learned about Witness during your studies at the Academy. It's said that no Delver has ever reached Gaia without his help. Witness greets you by way of a soft whir. He's oddly expressive. Chin up, Delvers, Master Bram adds with a grin. And remember, if things get dicey, there's no shame in turning back. You don your Delver suits and descend into the mist. Witness follows behind in silence, your new companion on the long road ahead. And it says here, collectively gain the card Curio number 1 as well as Witness the Robot Mini. Now, this is actually a just recently updated version of Chapter 2, which means in this prototype, I do not have a Witness Robot Mini, and I do not have the card Curio 1, but the card Curio 1 just tells me how to use Witness, and I do have the rules for using Witness. And I did just get the 7th anniversary edition of Feudum, so instead of the real Witness, I will be using this metal behemoth sort of figurine here as my Witness in this game, and you'll see him come out onto the board in just a minute. So with that, we move on to the introduction of quest number 2, and it says, at first, your descent is easier than expected, until the buzzing begins. Then, all at once, you hear a pained roar and a vast creature leaps forward to maul you. Neither bear nor insect, the creature appears maddened by a nest of stinging venena fused to its back. And you'll see here, our goal is to reach the end of Wave 2. In Wave 1, we've got a boss, which is the Goldmonger, and we've got 7 minions, which are the Venena. And I will go ahead and set up for this first wave of Quest 2, and you'll see how all of these things do. You'll also see the enemies have an ability called Fatal Flaw, which I will explain in just a minute as I set everything up. But then you'll see here at the end of the page, it says if both Delvers die during this wave, I should read entry 2.1 on the next page. And then if I make it to the end of the wave, I'm going to choose to either retreat or continue, and I'll explain how all of that works and show you how that works as we get into gameplay. So to set up for our quest, the first thing I need to do is put out the game board and my Delver boards. So this is the main board and will be sort of where all of the action happens. As far as I know, this is the only board for all of the quests, and the quests sort of happen in different ways on this board. You'll also see here there is a tracker for XP. In the actual copy of the game, at least from what I see on the Gamefound campaign, is that this tracker will actually be on that sort of bird's nest token holder tracker system instead. And now I do need 2 Delver boards. There are 2 separate Delver types in this game. You can actually play true solo in this game, which would be using one of these boards and still controlling both characters, but it's really not that much overhead to control both characters playing an actual 2-character game solo. So that's what I will be doing in this video. But the 2 different Delver types are Disciple of the Mind, which is this blue board, and the Disciple of the Body, which is this orange board. And I'm going to set these both out. And that is going to sort of take up the whole screen on camera. But that's basically all you need to see on screen at all times, and everything else then I will be able to show you as needed as we play. I do also want to show you though, because you will have seen this on the campaign page, is that each of these boards also has one of these boards that shows the Delver suit itself, and also shows sort of the max level or max rank for each of the different pieces of that Delver suit. At the beginning of the game, they'll all start at 3, which means I can never go higher than rank 3 on any of these particular things, and that's going to work or connect to our action cards, which I'll show you later on. And this is the one for the Disciple of the Mind. Again, really cool artwork. This guy's got a giant trident. This guy's got this sort of anchor club looking thing. But again, each of them does have all of the same things, and they're all max rank 3. And again, you'll see how all of that works, but there's no reason these need to stay on the screen except to remind me which one is which. So I just need to remember when we get the minis later, the one that has the trident is blue, and the one that has this giant anchor thing is the orange character. Then for each of these 2 Delver suits, I need to decide who is the person inside of that suit that I'm taking with me on the mission. And at the start of the game, we did start with only 1 hero each, which are these 2 here, this being my orange hero and this being my blue hero. But at the end of the first chapter, I did also unlock hero 3 and hero 4, like that. And I do get to make a choice now before going into the quest which of these people I will use in each of the Delver suits. And realistically, if this were the actual game, I would give them names, but I'm not writing on any of these components just in case somebody else needs them for something else. Now, it would be nice just to use the 2 new characters because, well, as I said, go check out Mike's playthrough on the One Stop Co-op Shop of the first chapter. That said, though, I really love this Gauntlet weapon, and you'll see that each of these people starts with a different set of weapons at the start. So I am going to stick with her anyway for the orange player, and for the blue player then I will use this new character simply because it's interesting to me, and I'd like you to see it on screen. So we will set those up. And then continuing to set up the players. Again, each of these Delver suits has its own mini, which you can see right here. This one going to blue and this one going to orange. And then for each of these boards, we need to set up sort of all of the stats starting for the quest. So we're going to take the cubes associated with that board. Health will start at 6, max. Each of these damages start in their lowest, so a light damage is 1, a medium damage starts at 2, heavy damage starts at 4, and I will start with a movement of 1. And I'll do that the same way on the blue board. 6, 1, and you'll see this is going to change in just a minute when we get out our starting cards for the game. But that goes like that. We also place out this red cube on top of our health. The main colored cube is going to be our max, and this is going to be our actual health at that time, like that. We also each start with 3, moving this card out of the way for a minute, 3 action points. I'm going to set that in our available area, just like that. And then each character is also going to get a set of these element tokens, 2 of each type. And I'm just going to sort of set those above and below these boards for right now. So here is our set for the orange player, and then similarly for the blue player. And realistically, these could just stay in these sort of token reserves, but they will be placed into these spots on the board when I gain them. So this way I can just sort of see, and it also reminds me which column is associated with each color by laying them out on the table like this, which will be a little bit easier for me to explain things to you as you see that. And then each of the Delvers also gets one of these really cool card organizers that does separate everything into the different card types, ranked from 1 and up. Again, the highest rank we could have in any card right now is just rank 3 because we have a basic Delver suit. And then from these decks, or from these sort of card organizers, I need to pull out the cards associated with the heroes I've chosen as shown on the hero card. So I'm going to set those off to the side. You won't see them for now, but they will come in on camera as I'm needing them later on. So first for this girl down here, we need a rank 1 gauntlet, a rank 1 sword, and rank 1 armor. So here are those 3 cards. Rank 1 sword, rank 1 gauntlet, rank 1 armor of the associated color. So she is an orange Delver. the disciple of the body, so she will be using these colored cards, and they are slightly different between the two sets of cards. So we've got the rank 1 sword is a soul shift saber, does medium damage to an adjacent enemy, and if it kills the enemy, I get to roll and potentially attack another adjacent enemy with it afterwards, and that does continue rolling. We've got the chain gauntlet, which is why I chose to take this character, because this does light damage to an adjacent chain of connected enemies. So if there's a bunch of enemies that are all connected together and I hit one of them, or I'm adjacent to at least one of them, I can hit everything with light damage. And this exoframe armor is passive. I'm going to set this off to the side right now, and it says immediately increase my max hit points to 9 and current hit points by 3. So both of these will go up to 9 as my starting health. And this also says ongoing. At the end of each wave, I'm going to heal 1 HP. So I am going to set this off to the side. And these two cards, I don't really have a ton of space on screen, but I will try and keep them on screen as much as possible. This is my hand of cards for this Delver. But in the previous story, I also bought some items. And for this Delver, I bought this product here in the shop that says I'm going to start a quest with +1 light damage. So instead of having a level 1 or a damage 1 light damage, my damage for light damage will be 2. So I'm going to shift that over. And again, that card gets set off to the side. Setting up our second Delver here, we're starting with a level 1 grenade, a level 1 sword, and a level 1 supercharger. So let me go ahead and set that up as well. And again, I don't need this character on screen for now, so they'll get set to the side as well. So again, that was a sword, a grenade, and a supercharger. So looking at those, the sword is a flicker blade. It says I do medium damage to an adjacent enemy, and if I'm adjacent to another hero or sharing a tile with another hero, I do an additional light damage, which is really cool. The web grenade does light damage, but it hits everybody in this target. So the arrows is how many spaces away. So I can hit 3 spaces away orthogonally and 1 space away diagonally, and any enemy that's in those spaces will take light damage. Plus, you'll see later on, when I attack an enemy, they counterattack. This allows me to prevent 2 of those counterattacks. And then the last card they've got is this Core Booster Supercharger, and it says I'm going to immediately roll a die. So let me go ahead and do that. And I didn't get sent a die with this prototype, but I've got this little purple die that kind of matches the coloring of everything. So rolling that, I get a 4, which says I'm going to start with 1 of each, a light damage doubler, a medium damage doubler, and a heavy damage doubler in my sort of available boosters. That card then gets set off to the side because it doesn't do anything, but I will keep those boosters forever, meaning every wave they will reset to be usable. So I'm going to take 1 of each of those, and those will get placed into my available pool as well. Then setting those cards somewhere where we can see them. This character card does not need to be on screen. And that character also bought an item in the last chapter, which are these special boots. That says I'm going to start the quest with a rank 1 boots, which are these right here. Rank 1 boots says my movement immediately gets set to 2. And I can also, you'll see later, spend 2 movement to rotate an adjacent enemy if I'd like to when I'm taking my movement action. So this is now 2, like that. And with that, we are all set up with our characters. So now we need to go ahead and set up the game, or set up the quest that we're trying to attempt now. All right, then, just fixing things a little, keeping everything on the screen a little better. The next thing we need to do is figure out where the enemies are going to go. Now, for this quest, as you saw in that intro book, we need to have 7 of these Vanina characters or creatures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to shuffle those up. Plus we have 1 Goldmonger. That is going to be sort of the boss character, the boss minion monster of this quest. So again, shuffling up these guys so I can put them out randomly when we need to. And to determine where everything goes, I'm going to take this spawn deck. Now there are a variety of cards in here that are labeled as base spawn cards. There's also actually 1 card in here that's called a friendly spawn card that will have potentially some kind of friendly creature on there that does something for me. And I got that in the first chapter by going to the library and doing some research on the world around me. So we will draw a card at random. It is a base spawn card. And using this, I'm going to place out the minions, the boss, and our delvers. The white X's are where the minions are going to go. The red X is where the boss goes. And these two sort of star spaces are my choices on where to put my delvers. Plus, remember, I have that robot witness will also start on one of those spaces. So we can all start on this one, we can all start on here, or we can split up as we'd like between the two. So let's go ahead and set that up. And I'll leave that somewhere over here just to refer to. So taking the minions first, we've got the second one over here. Then we've got one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, and one over here like that. And then the boss goes up in this top corner over there like that. So once we do that, I can now decide to start here or here. And remembering that this woman wants to be near a group like this that are all chained together to hit with the gauntlet, which would be great. So either of those works fine for them. This girl here wants to be pretty much anywhere. They're doing lots of damage to things around them. If I start there, they can explode like everything here with their grenade. The sword would do lots of damage. The problem is the boss then is far away, but that's not necessarily a problem. They also want to be near this character to do extra damage with the flicker blade or the sword that they've got. So I think I'm just going to start both of them over here. Like that. And Witness as well. Witness's only job, and I'll explain that in just a second, is that Witness's only job is to pick up creature parts. When we kill creatures, they're going to be dropping parts of their body, I guess, from being killed, and we're going to take those back with us to use for a variety of different things. And Witness's job is simply to pick those up, and also, of course, to pick up our dead bodies should we die along the way. And Witness is unable to be hurt. Now, the only problem with me being here, both of us, is that when I attack something, it retaliates. It could hit both of us if we haven't moved out of the way. So I do need to be careful about that. But it should be okay for right now, I hope. Yeah, but let's put minion here anyway. And remember, Witness. Remember, Witness can't get hurt, so it doesn't matter if they're with me anyway. The only other thing we need on the board is I need to put these two cubes out, one of them marking my level. Right now we are level 0, and one of them tracking my experience points, which also starts at 0. We don't need that spawn card anymore. You can set that off to the side. And like that, we are all set up for our playthrough of quest number 2, which, just to remind us, is this one here, the surveillance device. We are searching for some surveillance device that has dropped down. And again, our goal is to reach wave 2, or to complete wave 2. And it says here we know that if we complete it, we're going to get some kind of key item. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So Gone to Gaia is a fairly unique game in sort of this world of dungeon crawler, boss battler, wave of enemy kind of games, in that it is a roguelite game, which means a la roguelite video games, we are during this wave, or during this quest, I guess I should say, leveling up our characters, doing our best to kill off as many enemies as possible. And eventually we'll either die or choose to escape or run away. And if we run away or die, all of the stuff we've gained during that wave, during that quest, will be gone. We're going to start at the beginning just like you see here every time, sort of fresh. Except as you saw with those items I bought at the shop, it does give us a little bit of boost. We also will be upgrading these suits along the way that give us permanent things as well, but those all happen in between the quests. So basically everything that happens during a quest is going to get reset, except for monster or creature parts that we collect along the way. And then in between quests, we will be doing stuff that permanently upgrades us in different ways. But it's also unique in the way that it plays. We are not going to be sort of taking turns with enemies attacking back and forth. Instead, the game is going to play out with this structure as shown here. Each wave, which is sort of this battle against this set of creatures, is going to play out over sort of 4 phases. Realistically, just 2 phases with stuff in between. We've got the hero phase, the enemy parting shot phase, and then we've got story and interlude, which is what's sort of happening between waves. And we're starting with the hero phase, which means both of my heroes are going to continue to take actions over and over and over and over until we can no longer take the actions. And after that, we're passing and basically running away. And when we run away, any enemies that are left on the board will then trigger this enemy parting shot phase, which is going to be them retaliating against us as we escape. So realistically, I want to eliminate as much from the board as possible so that when we do pass and run away, we don't get completely obliterated by all of the stuff that's left on the board. So in order to explain all of that stuff, let's talk about how both of those phases works. First, in my phase. I'm going to choose one of my characters to go first. And on my turn, if I'm going to choose to take an action, I must have one of these weapon cards in hand to play as an action. If I have no cards left in my hand, I cannot take an action. And the way that you take an action is to play that card into one of the available slots on my board. And it may be hard to see from up there, but each of the slots has something printed on it that says I can either use the weapon ability of the card that I've played there or whatever that slot does. And I've showed you the weapons and I'll explain them again in a minute, but each of the slots has a unique thing. So this Delver says, here I can deal light damage to any enemy. Here I'll gain one of these brown resources. Here I add +1 to my movement. Here I refresh one of my action points. Here I choose a Delver to gain the fire element. And here I choose a Delver to gain this sort of light element. Down here on this board, this Delver can deal 1 medium damage to any enemy, but I also suffer 1 damage to do so. Choose a Delver to gain this sort of moon element. Choose a Delver to gain this sort of wind element. Choose a Delver to gain an ice element. Add +1 movement to my turn, or refresh 1 action point. So instead of playing the card for the card, I can simply do what it says in that slot. Once I've played a card into a slot on my turn, I'm going to either, again, use that action or use this action and move. And I can do it in either order. I can move and then action, or action and then move. And I'm going to move a number of spaces equal to whatever my movement value is at that time. Problem is, once I've played the card, that card stays into that slot, which means now I only have 1 more card, or however many cards left. And if I ever have no cards to play on my turn, well, that's the end of my sort of round, and that's all I can do, and we pass. And when both people have passed, that's when the enemies are going to trigger that enemy parting shot phase, and will sort of call the end of that wave. But there are a variety of different ways I can get those cards back into my hand. First, we have the ability to spend AP, and up here you can see we can spend 1 AP to double our movement. Instead of using what that is, we can use double that. We can spend 2 AP to refresh 1 weapon card, which means if I move 2 of these here, I can take 1 card back into my hand. So that's one way to refresh it. Right now I only have 3 AP, so we can't take the last action, but it says if I had 5 AP, I can refresh all of my weapon cards, which is super powerful. But you see we only have 3 AP. And aside from that 1 action that allows me to refresh 1 AP, that's it. So I'm only going to be able to do that to refresh a card once, maybe twice during this game, unless I get a card later on that lets me get more AP. So the other way that I can get cards back into my hand is using these elements. If I ever have 2 elements in a slot, when I play a card into that slot, those elements will go away, and that card will come back into my hand. It can also work the other way around. If there's a card in a slot and later on I place 2 elements in there, I will then return this card back to my hand. So I really have to be careful about where I'm playing the card, when I'm adding new elements, what new elements I can add, and how I get things back into my hand. Because we can add elements by using these different icons here on the board when we play into those slots. But if we do it that way, we're losing the action of the card that we're putting into that slot. So that's not a great way to do it. The other way we can get elements, though, is from some of these enemies. And you'll see that some of the enemies, and I'll just pick one up right now to show you up close. When killed, it says here on death, they will always drop minion parts regardless of which enemy they are, or if they're a boss, dropping a boss part of the level of that boss. But some of them here will say gain, for example here ice, and I believe that's light. So when I kill this, both of my Delvers will gain 1 ice and 1 light. And doing that, or maybe water. In doing that then, I can slowly work towards getting cards back because I can see then that this guy all the way over here also gives me one of those light and one what I'm guessing to be earth. So by killing the right enemies, I can get cards back as well. But while we're there, let's continue looking at the enemies because I am trying to kill them off. Looking at enemies, most of my turns are going to be actions attacking these minions. This value up here is the amount of health I need or amount of damage I need to deal to this minion in order to kill them. This value here is their retaliation value. Anytime we attack a minion, that minion will attempt to attack us back. And the way we're going to do that is roll a die. And that one die roll covers all of the minions that have been damaged by us on a given turn. And they are only going to attack based on these arrows on their card. If I roll a 1, they don't attack at all. If I roll a 2 through 5, they will attack in all directions shown by this white arrow as far as the number of arrows. So this means in these 3 directions, they will attack 3 spaces ahead. And in these 3 directions, they would only attack the adjacent card. However, if I roll a 6, they will only attack in the black arrow directions. So I need to set myself up into a location when attacking to do my best to avoid getting attacked back by the enemy. You'll also notice on the cards this symbol here. This is the thing that happens during that enemy parting shot phase. So at the end of the wave when we've both passed, any card that's left on the screen will do whatever it shows here. So in this case, this creature will do 2 damage to the nearest Delver if this is still alive when we have both passed. You'll also see some some minions or bosses have special abilities. In this quest, we've got this one called Fatal Flaw. And Fatal Flaw says that I must kill these minions and boss in the order of this number. So I cannot kill any 2s until I've killed all of the 1s from the board. I can't kill any 3s until I've killed all of the 1s and 2s, and so on. But I can kill sequential values. It means if in a single attack I kill the last 1, I can also kill a 2 at the same exact time, which is going to be a little bit helpful. I also showed you that some minions when killed will give you elements. Many of them will instead give you XP. So let me explain the XP system quickly and then we can sort of go ahead and get into gameplay. When I gain XP, I'm going to slide up this track right here. And then each successive level will cost a certain amount of XP. So level 1 costs 1 XP, 2 costs 3, 3 costs 5, 4 costs 7, and so on. And when, say for example, I had 3 XP and I was leveling up to level 1, I would slide that to the next level being paying the cost of level 1, which will then move me to level 1. And you'll see how this works when we actually get to them. But that will allow me to draw one of these level up cards that will allow me to either get new cards or upgrade the cards that I already have. But again, I will show you that as it happens. There's no reason to show that ahead of time. I think like that we are all set up to play. But one last thing to point out. Fatal Flaw 1s are here, 2s are here, 3s are here. The boss is also a 3 and the Fatal Flaw 4 is here. So I need to kill, which is actually really great, 1s and 2s and a 3 here, which works very nicely to have them all clustered together. I am a little bit worried about damage though, because where I'm located may be the wrong place to start. Simply because I don't want to get hit by all of these things. But I can move after I attack. Somebody's gonna get hit. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. Hold on. Do I really want to start with both of my characters there? Probably not. But it's not going to matter either way, because if I move this character here, then this one is pointing here, and this one is pointing here, and this one is pointing here, because that's a 3 white that way, a 3 white that way, and a 3 white that way. Here, I've got black and black hitting there. I've got white, white, and white hitting there. So either way, it's not a problem. It's not different. So let's see what happens. All right, then I'm going to start with blue, I think. Yeah. The problem is with both this grenade and this gauntlet, I can hit everybody. But they're all going to attack. Blue's got less health than orange. So yeah, I got to let blue go first. We are going to play a grenade. And I'm not going to waste a doubler, and you'll see why in just a minute. But I'm going to play the grenade first. Right now it doesn't matter which slot I play into, although it does. I see light is the most common element here. Light, light, or brown, brown. Yeah, so let's play it there. No, because that does light damage. Let's play it there. I'm dealing 1 damage to everything 3 orthogonally and 1 diagonally. So this, and this, all 5 of them are getting hit. But then they're both going to get hit. Hold on. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, as expected. What I really want to do is start there, and we are going to start with orange. And we'll do exactly the same thing with orange that I just did, except I'm using my gauntlet. And yeah, we'll play into the brown spot. So I am doing 2 damage for light damage to all of these enemies that are connected together. So the first step I'm going to do is deal 2 damage. And I've got all my damage off screen. So we're going to add 2 hearts to each of these guys. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. And 1, 2. And I realize we're kind of in trouble anyway, because they are targeted by this one and this one and this one if white. If I was there, this one and this one, yeah, either way it's 3. I'm worried because they're going to get smashed and they don't have that much health. But we may be able to heal later, so we'll see what happens. Now I'm going to roll to see what happens. In the case of a 6, black attacks, which means he gets hit by this one and this one. That was a mistake. Before doing that attack, I want to do my movement to go here. Because in this space, none of the white arrows will hit. Only the black arrows hit. So they're safe unless I roll a 6. They are going to take 3 damage if it's 2 through 5, and take 1 damage if it is a 6. Let's hope for a 1 anyway. It's a 4. Okay, so they're safe because no white arrow reaches them. They get hit by this one, and this one, and this one, which is not good. They're taking 3 damage. They're down to half health already. Yikes. But that's okay for now. Then, I need to kill the ones first, which are down here. From here, I can kill everybody but him. But if I go there and I roll a 2 through 4 again, 2 through 5 again, they're going to die. And that's a big problem. That's a real big problem. That's not good. All right. Yeah, this setup is tricky. Anywhere I go, I'm getting damaged. I could come over here and just hit them because... I could come over here and hit them, but then if I roll a thing, they're going to get hit. Just that if I come here and kill them, I will get XP. Yeah, it's dangerous, but that's what I'm going to do. All right, so I'm going to use a sword in that brown spot. Again, coming over here. And I'm attacking this one only. Yes. Which means medium damage plus, then because I'm adjacent to the other hero, also light damage. So I will hit for 3 if I do that, killing them, but they still retaliate before dying. Come on, 1 or 6. That's a 2. All right, so I do take 1 more damage, unfortunately. I really hope I get some kind of healing in my level up. But they are dead. No. Undo that, undo that, undo that. That's a mistake because that's a 4. I can't kill them. I can only kill ones. All right, so yeah, then they're gonna have to move twice. 1, 2, coming here. They're gonna attack this one only because that is a 6. I'm gonna call that roll what I just did anyway. So they don't get hit. They do kill this one, but yeah, that's it. That was a waste, but that's it. All right, so that's gone. Now it says drop minion parts and gain 1 XP. So we get 1 XP. Again, when we drop minion parts, we're going to drop 1 minion part for each of our delvers. So we got 1 orange and 1 blue that's going to go in that spot right there. Anytime we move into a location that has a minion part of our color or a boss part of our color, we will pick that up even if we don't stop in that space. Witness, however, instead of using my card for an action, either on the board or on the card, I can choose to move Witness 2 spaces. And Witness will pick up all creature parts, both orange and blue, in any space they move into or through on their turn. But that's that. We now have 1 XP, which is how much it costs for level 1. So that goes back to 0. We're up to level 1. And now we're going to upgrade. So to upgrade, we're going to draw a level card for each of our 2 Delvers. So taking my level card set, I'm going to give it a good shuffle, just in case I didn't before. We're going to draw one of these each for the 2 Delvers. So starting with blue, we've got level up. So I get to choose the next rank in Grenade, Hammer, and Shield, which means I could level up my Grenade, I could get a rank 1 Hammer, or a rank 1 Shield. So let's take a look at those 3 cards. I'm guessing I probably need the Shield since they're already down to 3 health, but let's see what we've got. So the level 2 Grenade does double light damage. So I'd be hitting everybody for 2 when I use it. Oh, I'm stupid. The Grenade prevents 2 counterattacks. Oh well, that's fine. I should have thought better about that, but that's fine. The Shield says ongoing, I can spend 1 element to have a hero on my tile suffer 1 less damage from a single damage, or 2 less if I spend light. So that blocks 1 less damage. Yeah, that blocks 1 damage, which as long as I'm careful would be really nice. And the Hammer is a heavy damage, which is 4, but I'm going to roll a die and it's either going to hit left or right. I can take a damage to change the direction, but I'd really love the double Grenade, especially since I forgot about that 2 counterattack thing. Maybe? But a Shield would be important to block things. It just also means, yeah, but anyway, I should also mention, if I take this Hammer, I'll have a 3rd weapon card that lets me take more actions. If I take this Grenade, it's just going to upgrade so I don't get a new one. And the Shield is passive, so that doesn't count as an extra weapon either. But anyway, I definitely don't want the Hammer. That's a tough choice. Right now, a double Grenade is not really helpful, but it will be moving forward, assuming I make it to another wave of this game. Especially because I have a doubler. That's 4 damage to everything. Yeah, I have to upgrade that Grenade. I have to. I already made a mistake not playing it this round because I forgot about the counterattacks, but that's okay. So that other Grenade goes away. The Shield goes back into their box, and the other character then draws their level up card, which says Grenade, Harvester, and Battery. So let's go take a look at those. So now you get a chance to see the Grenade from the other character. You see their Grenade does further damage diagonally and short in the orthogonal. So there is a slight difference. Still light damage, still 2 counterattacks. Having that would be cool because their light damage is already 2. Harvester says I gain an additional 2 minion part tokens at the end of each wave. And again, these are what I'm spending at the shops and so on to upgrade in between these quests. And the Lucky Battery lets me roll a die, and I either get 1 extra AP, which will allow me to refresh twice or do other fun things, or gain 2 reroll tokens, which allow me to reroll the die on any turn to potentially prevent myself from getting hurt. That's tricky. I don't really want the Harvester right now. But both of those are great. This gives me more actions, gives me more ability to hurt things. But I think I'm going to take the Battery just so you can see something different and fun. So right now I'm going to roll the die. I rolled a 4, which means I get 2 reroll tokens. And those are now permanently added to my supply. It means at the start of every wave, when everything refreshes, I will get those back again. So that's it for leveling up. And now it's Orange's turn again. And I did it again. Being here is a problem because I can kill these 3 characters with the Gauntlet, but then he's going to take hits. 1 from there and 1 from there. Not here because I wouldn't be hitting them. Or I wait for their turn to do a grenade. Or I just smash one something. They'll take a damage, but they can block it. No, I upgraded the grenade. I didn't get the shield. They can't block it. Having them in that location is bad. And the only other thing I can kill right now is this one here, but if I do that, it wipes out my chain. I could kill all three of these right now, because that's a 1-2-2. But this guy will potentially take 2 damage, which doesn't kill them, but is really bad. Is it worth the risk? I think so, because their movement is really slow. Really, really slow. Yeah, let's do it. No risk, no reward. Let's do it. 2 AP gets me my gauntlet back. I'm going to use it again. But do I want to move first? No, I don't want to move first, because they're in a nice spot for 6s. He will get hit. I'm attacking these 3, so here, chaining into that. He will get hit by this one and this one for 2 damage if I roll a 2, 3, 4, 5. But these 3 are going to die. Yes. Okay, that's fine with me. Yeah, that's fine with me, I think. But doing that ruins the grenade. This is tricky. That grenade upgrade was a mistake. Yeah, I'm switching that. I'm sorry for changing my mind, but I'm switching that. I'm going to take that shield after all, which will... I have to spend an element to block, though, and I don't have any elements. But that's fine. They're going to take the 2 damage now, probably. I'm still using the gauntlet, as I said, on those 3 things. Let's see what happens. 3. So he's going to hit twice, unfortunately. They're still alive, though, so that's okay. These 3 die. Which means I get minion parts for all of them. I get 2 XP plus 1 XP goes to 3. And I get a brown and a, well, let's say earth and fire. So each of them is going to get an earth and a fire. An earth, whoops, that's the wrong person's token. An earth and a fire, like that. Those go away. Because that was a 1, 2, and a 2, so the Fatal Flaw does work because there are no other ones on the board. Which means now I can kill 3s, which is these 3 guys, the boss and these 2 minions. Those are gone. We got to put minion parts out for those 3 things, which was 1, 2, 3 like that, and 1, 2, 3 like that. And then we do level up, because that costs 3. We go back to 0, level 2. Drawing first for blue. I've got beam, battery, and supercharger. So beam does medium damage. This is another weapon to the first target in any straight line. So that lets me stay far away and shoot medium damage at people, which would be really cool. That way I can avoid potentially getting hurt. Whoops. The battery lets me roll a die and gain an AP 1 prevent counterattack token. And the supercharger is what you saw before. I would be leveling up my supercharger to get more of those multipliers. I think I'm going to take the beam because that's with low health. That lets me sort of hide out and potentially do stuff. So let's see what I can do with that. Yes, then the other guy levels up. And we've got the potential for supercharger, OS, and boots. Okay. So the supercharger here says, same thing as we saw for the other player. The OS lets me gain an element immediately, and then both heroes gain 1 element at the end of each wave. That could be cool. And the boots let me move further. I think I need the movement. So I am going to take the boots, increasing that movement to 2. And we'll put the OS and the supercharger back in there. And that is that. Now it is blue's turn. And I do now have that beam weapon. And he can move twice. Yeah, so I'm going to play the beam. Where am I playing the beam? I wish I hadn't done that, but that's okay because, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to use the beam in light because I might get it back in a minute. He's going to step down here, which means they do collect that blue minion part. And I'm going to use the beam this way to shoot this guy. He can only hit this space even only on a 2 to 5. There's no way he's getting hit. So I am shooting. Doesn't matter what I roll. But I'm also using my doubler because that's medium damage. Doubled is 2 times 2 is 4. Will kill this minion. Dropping some minion parts. And we get one of these light, which is halfway to getting this card back, and one of these, which does instantly bring that sword back, and those go away, like that. And they also get one brown, getting this chain gauntlet back instantly as well, and adding one of those, and that guy's gone. Now, chain gauntlet is nice for them to have. I do want to focus on killing some of that stuff, but, I think I'm going to waste this saber. I might get it back later. I'm going to play it in fire, but I'm using it to move witness where? Here and here. So I get these two and these two, like that. And I did that because I don't want anybody getting hurt right now. Because then, if I move this guy with my grenade, where? Placing it in light. Whoops, no, there's already a card in light. Placing it then, I guess, doesn't really matter here. Moving 1, 2 to come here, picking up that along the way. I can hit 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3 there, but they'll hit me as well. But I can block it. And 1, 2, 3 there, they can't hit me there. So we roll. Is a 2. So black doesn't hit him, white does hit him, but if I spend a fire using my shield, I can block that. So they're good. And that means I've done 1 damage to this guy and 1 damage here, killing this one. Dropping minion parts again here. And we both get one of these, which does reset that weapon. Will reset this if I choose to play something there. And we both get 1 water or ice, I don't know which that is, like that. So this is also halfway to coming back. Not bad. Not bad. Then, orange is chain gauntleting. They get to move twice. If I come here, no, 1, 2, picking up that. At this location, if I hit both of them with my chain, this one could hit me, this one cannot. And neither one of them can hit him, so that's safe. So I am hitting for 2 against both of them. 1, 2, 1, 2. I do not think we're going to kill the boss, but that's okay. Rolling is a 6. They both miss. That's great. And this one is dead. So we get 1 XP. That goes away. Minion parts come out. Like that. And this chain gauntlet comes back because this is full. Like that. Okay. My beam can hit any distance in a straight line. So I'm going to come here. Well, hold on. Playing beam. I don't really care where I play it right now. Let's go here again. Going here to pick up a minion part. And then shooting in a straight line is this guy. He can't reach here. He can't reach here. I'll roll anyway, but it doesn't mean anything. 6. I hit for 2 damage against that boss, like that. Yes. Then, Gauntlet's got to be adjacent. I can hit for 2. There's no way for me to get to a place with a black arrow because that's my safest spot. How much more damage? I need to hit him for 12 more damage. I think 8 is the best I can do. So I think we're just going to move around the board collecting minions. Because look, I've got a gauntlet that does 2 damage. That's 2. Then a sword, if I double the light, I can get 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 6. If I got that back again, that's another 3, 7, 8, 9. But there's no way for me to get it back another time after that. So 9 is the best I can do. Won't kill them. So I'm just going to use stuff to move around the board collecting things. So he gets 1 more turn. Doesn't matter where I play this. Let's play to here because we will have water there. I'm just going to move 1, 2, collecting these pieces. Blue takes a turn. Again, it doesn't really matter where I play it right now. Let's play to here. They move 2, but I'll use 1 AP to double that for 4. 1, 2, 3, picking up that. I pass. He passes. That's the end of the hero phase. So we go into the enemy parting shot phase. The only thing that's left is this goldmonger. Ah, no. I cheated. I cheated. I cheated. Because that last venena was a 4. That never died. I don't have this blue. I also don't have that XP. And if I had timed it better, but I can't go back in time, I could have done the damage to that one instead. Oh no, that was a chain shot anyway. And the grenade from before. So that venena still has 2. But I can't hurt it anymore. Because I can't kill that 4. I can't deal the final blow until I've killed the boss, and I can't. So we're going to have to stop there. And let's pretend like everything else happened. I apologize for that. Switch. Yeah, everything else should be fine. Okay, so we're going to end there. Means the goldmonger says 2 damage and lose all XP on hand. I don't have any XP on hand, but we do both take 2 damage, which means this guy's dead. He's down to 7. And then this is another 1 damage. He's down to 6. He's dead. All right, so that is that. Sorry again for the silly mistake, but I am glad I caught it so you could see what it's really supposed to be. But doing that, we go back to the book, and it says, if both Delvers die, go to 2-1. We didn't both die. One of us is still alive. So we're going to continue and choose one option, either retreat or continue. Well, I've got 1 guy dead, so I don't think I want to continue because I'm not sure we're going to do real well moving on. So I'm going to read entry 2.2, and it says, your fight has left you exhausted and bloody. The surveillance device is close by, but you can't risk running into more monsters in this condition, so you head back to shore. Bram is waiting by the docks, and he looks confused. You're back already? Wait, where's the surveillance device? He realizes you don't have it. That won't do, Delvers. We need that device. Dr. Ira quickly patches you up. Both Delvers heal to full hit points, even if 1 Delver died. That's amazing. And now it says, now get back out there and retrieve the device. As you descend deeper into the tide, the mist continues to thicken. You can sense your suit reacting to it. Your movements feel faster, more receptive. The suit's power is palpable, coursing through every part of your body. Delvers gain 2 elements, my choice, and then we continue on to wave 2. So looking at the next page on wave 2, we'll do the stuff that it said on the board in just a minute. We've got a boss that is 100 eyes, and we've got minion, which is Ophidians. And yeah, let's go back and get into wave 2. So back at the board, taking our guys off the board, we did just both get healed back to full, which is quite amazing. Before that though, I did skip a step. The 3rd phase after the enemy parting phase is the story phase. So let's go back. I think this was at 6 and this was at 0 for sure. In the story phase, it first says refresh spent consumables and exhausted weapons. So all of the stuff we use comes back. like that. All of our weapons come back like that. And we are supposed to read a scenario card. The scenario cards are never shuffled. They will be done in order. So first we've got here this one. Scenario 1, Sparkle. As you descend further down the cliffs, your boots sink into the lilac-colored snow that covers the area. A gust swirls snow into the air and it glimmers like lantern bugs dancing in the night air. The glimmer floats past you and you swear you can hear faint giggling. So we can choose to leave the entity alone, try and capture it, or follow it. I don't want to capture it because that sounds mean. Leaving it alone might be safest, but let's follow and see what happens. So we're doing C. Says you follow the entity to a clearing. There it's standing, no longer just a shimmering snowdrift, but what appears to be a pixie. The little creature emits a light before it flutters off that causes energy to radiate through your suit. Both delvers gain one element of their choice. All right, so we might as well both get this blue one so that we've got a full slot. And then again from the story, because it says then, looking here again, refresh the spent consumables and weapons, we did that. Resolve the next scenario card, I did that. Now we should have read the next quest index text. So now we are going to set up our wave 2. And then normally it says if retreating, I'm going to gain all of the minion parts from my board. And then if continuing that quest, we would have done all of this stuff, except that we are now continuing the quest because we've been forced to continue the quest. Normally on retreating, you would go back to the town and do all of this stuff, but because of the way the story works, it's pushing me to do this. So we are going to get the end of wave passive equipment and shop benefits. I am then going to spawn and start the next thing, and you'll see how that works now. So based on the passive cards I have, I get to heal 1 HP for this person at the end of each wave, but we did just get healed back to full from the story. Otherwise, there's nothing else to do as far as our passive abilities. All of the stuff that was left on the board should come off of the board. And now we are going to spawn our next wave of creatures, which we saw were the 7 Ophidians and the 100 Eyes boss. So again, taking all of those Ophidians, giving them a shuffle. Drawing a new spawn card, which is another base spawn that looks like this. We will place out here, 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 and then 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, plus the boss goes here. And we're going to start either this spot or this spot. But before we do that, we need to read what the boss says. It says, 100 Eyes, a cluster of serpents merged into this abomination. Its many eyes allow it to see 360 degrees, giving it the upper hand when defending itself from would-be attackers. The remnants of many tails lash out at a distance. Now it says, suit condition sheet. So on our actual Delver suit, the blue guy would get to improve 1 right arm. Means that one of the things on the right arm now can go up to a rank 4. And the orange can improve 1 left arm, meaning something on the left arm would go up to a rank 4. So checking that out, again, blue says right arm. So realistically, gauntlet, hammer, or trident. Right now I have a sword, grenade, and beam. So that doesn't work here, unfortunately, but I would pick one of those things. Let's say, for example, right now the trident can go up to rank 4. And then the other side, the orange says left arm, means gauntlet, hammer, or trident. Again, this one for sure I would pick the gauntlet because I'm already a level 2 gauntlet. No, I'm not yet, but I would like to raise up my gauntlet for them. But again, I don't think I'm going to get to rank 4 in this playthrough, but we will see what happens. In any case, 100 Eyes now gets placed out here. The only new thing we need to know about these creatures is they have a special ability called Rotates. Anytime they counterattack us, the card will simply rotate 90 degrees. So their targeting locations will change every time I attack them. And again, I need to start here or here, like that. I think, based on chains again, the gauntlet guy should start here because they can move there. Sorry, I keep saying guy. This is a girl, can move here and hit those. And this one here will start up there, just so they're not in the same place. The only issue becomes, I do want them adjacent to each other for that sword damage, but right now I'd rather them start separately. There's more stuff to collect down here, so witness will start down here like that. And we are all set up for wave 2. Let's go ahead and get into play. So I think then that I want to start here with orange. I am going to play the Gauntlet into the already unlocked slot, stepping down, because that's a 6. These are both black arrows. Actually, that doesn't reach. Only here reaches. That's not true. They will hit here. If I come here, that's black, that's black, that's black. That's safer. And if I get a 6, I can use a reroll token if needed. So let's do that. Gauntlet is hitting all of them for 2. Noticing that they have 6 health and they do 2 damage when they retaliate. That's not fun. Like that. We are rolling. Let's hope for nothing. Anything but a 6. And of course I rolled a 6, so I will re-roll. Come on, no 6s. 1. They miss completely. And that's their turn. But this comes back instantly because those are full up like that. Good. All right, then this guy, girl. Grenade hits 3. What's the distance on that? That's a 2. There's nobody there anymore. I could come here, hitting those 2 and that one with a grenade. Maybe? But here they'll get hit. Here hits that one and that one. No, it doesn't. That's too far away. They'll take 2 damage, which they could block one of, but I'd rather they didn't. Realistically, I could smash that, but the point is, if I chain this 2 more times, they're dead. Getting to 24 is going to be pretty crazily hard. But I think I'm just going to start beaming somebody. Let's see, this guy, if I don't kill him at the end, just causes me to lose elements. That's not horrible. Big damage is this one, 3 to the nearest Delver. Boss is also 3, but I don't know that I'm going to kill that boss. But if I do, I should point this out. The boss parts are worth more than minion parts. You can trade them in for 3 minion parts per level. So that's level 2, could be 6 minion parts. Or some of the things you're building will require boss parts specifically of certain levels. So that would be nice, but 24 damage is a lot. What I really want is a heavy hitting weapon that I can double with that doubler. But yeah, not right now. All right, then I'm just going to step down here and blast them with my beam. Because they can't reach, so I'm safe. And I'll put it in that slot so it comes back right away. Rolling doesn't really matter. Sorry, all of these should have rotated because of their rotate ability. This guy misses anyway. They take 2 damage, like that. That card comes back. They also rotate, like that. Okay, then back to orange. We're doing the same thing we just did, except this location is dangerous now. All locations are dangerous now. Because here I'll get hit by this one. Here I'll get hit by this one again. Here I'll get hit by 2 of them. So I definitely don't want to be there. So I think here is the right answer. The worst that's going to happen is I get hit by this guy. But so be it. We're playing Gauntlet into... Oh, I get fire from here. Perfect. Into fire. It's not going to matter because I'm going to refresh it before that anyway. Anyway, Gauntlet goes. They all get hit for 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, and 1, 2. We roll a 5. So they're getting hit by white, which is this one only. So they will take 1 damage. So be it. They've got lots of health. That's an 8. Like that. And they all rotate again. Like that. Okay. Blue's turn. I'm going up there. Oh, first I gotta play a thing. I'm playing a grenade. I'm playing a grenade, but where? Where am I playing a grenade? I want to do lots of damage here, but I've got other stuff. But that's fine. I'm going to step up there. I'm playing a grenade into brown. Where's brown? Here. And I'm hitting both of those with light damage, but I am going to use my doubler. So they both get hit twice. 1, 2, and 1, 2, like that. Rolling, if it's a 6, I get hit. It's a 3, we're good. And they both rotate, like that. All right, then I am going to use 2 action points to get my gauntlet back again. Because from where I am, I'm safe unless I roll a 6. I will gauntlet fire because it will come back to me in a second. Rolling is a 3, I'm safe. All 4 of these die because I hit for another 2 and 6s. Their hit points, they're all dead. So let's see what we get from them. This wave is going much better than the first one. I got a fire and a earth from them. Fire and earth. Fire and earth. And minion parts. There. Next I get an XP and minion parts. There. Here I get a minion part and an ice and wind. Wind and that one. Green and blue over here. And then this one gets 3 XP and minion parts. Like that. And 3 XP. 1, 2, 3. I need one more for my level 3. But that's okay. And then this automatically comes back to me again. Great. Back to my blue guy. Girl. I can do anything realistically. I wish they were closer, but they're not. So I'm going to save my sword and I'm going to beam. Yeah. I'm just going to risk the 6 because I want to keep my person there. I am beaming blue because that's coming right back. They're shooting medium, which is 2 at this one here, who as long as they don't hit me with a 6 will not hurt me. And of course they hit me with a 6, so I do need to trash something. Let's get rid of one of these greens to block that with my shield. They die. Minion parts, we get a brown and a blue. Brown and blue over here, which is perfect. Also over here, we've got 2 queued up slots that will come right back. These instantly come back. Yeah, this wave is way friendlier than the last time. Great. Back over here. I don't have any range stuff. And I do want to end up near the other character, but I don't want to... Oh, I could go in the same... Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. We're going to play a gauntlet into brown. They're going to go 1, 2. So they're in the same place as them. And they're attacking here. So both of those get 2 damage. 1, 2, and 1, 2, like that. We roll. It's a 4. The only arrow pointing to us is black, so we're safe. But now they rotate. Like that. Problem becomes, I don't want them getting hit by a splash, but they got a lot of health, so I don't really care so much. The gauntlet comes back too. Yeah, I don't really care. So blue goes there, but 2 spaces, 1, 2 to pick up this minion part. And they're going to use the sword. I don't really care which spot they put it in. Let's put it there in case we do get a fire somehow. And they're attacking the boss and doubling. So we get double medium, which is 4, plus a light because I'm adjacent. So that's 5 damage here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goes there. We're up to 7 out of 24. Still very far away, but we got lots of stuff to come back again. Then we roll a 2. So this guy's going to take 1 damage. Like that, and they rotate. Which is actually very nice because then they can step there and use the Gauntlet to hit both of them. Means 9 and 4. Rolling is a 6. So he's going to take 1 damage. And I'm actually going to block it. So nothing happens. That's excellent. They both rotate again. Yeah, that's cool. I'm coming here. No. Yes, because this one can't hit at all in this direction. So I'm just going to beam them. And I don't really care where I put it. Let's put it there. They're beaming there. They hit for 2. No attack back. They are dead. Which says, drop a minion party, gain 3 XP. 1, 2, 3. That's amazing. Like that. Now, for 5 XP, going down to 2, we will level up again. Blue guy gets grenade, battery, or supercharger. Ooh, we can level up the grenade again. I don't think I will. Or level up their, ooh, leveling up their supercharger means that, I didn't level up the grenade. Leveling up the supercharger means we'll get more of these, which could be great, but let's see. Yeah, we know that. The battery would give me an extra AP or a prevent counterattack. And the grenade does double light damage like that, which is amazing, but I am going to upgrade my supercharger. So this supercharger gets leveled up and I immediately roll a die to get something. 2 means we get 2 medium doublers. That's amazing. It's worth mentioning I can only ever use 1 of these in a given turn, but that's really good because he's got lots of medium damage. Yay. So my core supercharger is gone. Oh, wait a minute. No, I had already upgraded that once. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Core supercharger is gone. Like that. Yeah, that's amazing. The other guy gets trident, sword, and armor, which means we could get a new weapon, which might be worth doing. But we could also upgrade our sword. Let's see. So upgraded armor pushes me to 12 and gives me another 3 hit points, and I heal twice at the end of every wave. Would be cool, but I don't definitely need that. Saber does double medium and is potentially repeatable. The trident says I can move an adjacent enemy and deal medium damage. 2 that way and 1 next to me. You know what? I don't know. Having another weapon is nice, but I don't know. Upgrading the saber seems pretty awesome. But no, I'm going to take the trident just so I have more stuff. I'm almost done the playthrough. Anyway, let's do that. Like that. That was blue's turn. Back to orange, and I should have instantly gotten my gauntlet back with those waters. So I still have 3 things left. But, yeah, I think we're going to stay where we are and bash the boss some more. May move an adjacent enemy 1 tile, but I don't really want to do that. I mean, I could slowly do that and then get to use the gauntlet to shoot them both, but I don't love it. What is this at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? Means I need to hit them 15 times more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I could do it. I could do it. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Let's do it. But that's it then. But I also have that. Okay, let's see what happens. Orange's turn. Orange's turn gonna be a saber. Put it there. Medium damage to an enemy is 2. Hitting him is a 1. He misses, so that's 2 more damage. He's at 11. Let's pull off all of that nonsense. Put a 10 there. And he rotates again. Well, now we got a little bit of a problem, but not really. I'm going to use 2 XP here to get my sword back. Moving here, well, I'm going to play it anyway. To do medium damage to this enemy, doubled is 4 plus light is 1 is 5 damage more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I roll for retaliation. A 5 means he's going to take 1 damage. She is going to take 1 damage. Like that, and rotating. Okay. Orange is going to go 1, 2, picking up that minion part on the way. And then hitting with the gauntlet. I don't really care where. Doing 2 light damage. 1, 2. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 18. No, we're not going to have enough. What am I thinking? That was a mistake. No, that's a mistake. I can't kill them. Because I thought I was going to get a sword back again, but I can't. Wait a minute. Was there an AP there? Yeah, let's do that. I can. Okay, that's that. And then rolling for resolve is a 6. They're taking 1 more damage. Blue's turn. Blue's turn, blue's turn. They're gonna play this to simply get an AP back. And then use 2 AP to take their sword. Orange's turn again. Hold on, this rotates. Did it? No, it didn't. Did it? I think I didn't rotate it last time. And if I did, I apologize. So that's that. And I am going to use 1 AP to double my movement. Because that's 1, 2, 3. I'm going to get hit there. But that's fine. I'm going to use my trident. And I don't really care where, like that. Oh, they miss anyway. I do 2 more damage. 19, 20. Rotating again. They play their card somewhere. Moving here. Again, doubling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because of adjacency. We do kill them. Which means we get a level up card. They drop level 2 boss parts, which look like this right here. Like that. The problem is, I can't pick them up because I got no movement left. But it does mean when we kill a boss, we get a level up card right away. So let's go ahead and level up our 2 characters. Just so you can see some more stuff. Blue gets Trident Armor Shield. Trident for them is this kind of double diagonal and still allows you to move an enemy 1 space. Armor we've seen before. The other one increases your max health and gives you 1 at the end of every round. And shield, leveling up my shield now, 1 element blocks 2. And if I use this one, I block 3. I would actually go ahead and take the armor here. So these both go up 1, 2, 3 to 9, like that. The other character is going to get Grenade Mace Harvester. Grenade you've seen before, there's this diagonal. And I keep forgetting about preventing counterattacks with the grenade, sorry. Mace is heavy damage to an adjacent undamaged enemy, or I have to spend a win to deal to an adjacent enemy that is damaged. So that's tricky. The Harvester is what I'm going to take right now because I am right at the end of a wave and I get to gain 2 minion parts at the end of each wave. So that'll be cool. Because now it is the end of the wave. I have no more cards to play. Unfortunately, I wish I could have picked up those boss parts, but I can't. And this guy can't move all the way over there, even without action cards. So we are going to go into the enemy parting shot phase. And all it says here is, I'm losing all of the elements. Great. So all I do is lose this one wind. That is that. Moving into story phase, refresh any spent consumables. So all of this comes back. All of these come back. All of our weapons come back. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, like that. Resolve the next scenario card. Scenario 2 says cold. As you descend the snowy mountains, you start to shiver. Scientists say the tide enhances weather conditions, making areas that were once cold now almost unbearable. Thankfully, you come across an abandoned ski lodge half buried in the snow. Clearly, it had been used as some sort of central hub at some point before the tide levels rose. The doors are reinforced and the chimney appears to have been well used. Find a place to rest, search for loot, search outside the lodge. Well, we're both pretty healthy. So let's search inside for loot. B. You don't find much after a sweep of the interiors, but you check the lockers and discover some useful equipment. Ooh, okay. Both Delvers gain a level up card. So let's go ahead and do that one last level up before we finish up. So for blue, we've got Sword, Trident, Beam. You've already seen the Trident that I didn't take. Let me show you the Sword, rank 2, and the Beam, rank 2. The Sword says now we get double medium damage and double light damage. That's huge. And the Beam is just double medium damage in a straight line. In this case, I would absolutely upgrade the Sword. And for the orange guy, Grenade, Boots, and Supercharger. You've already seen the Grenade. Let me show you a level 2 Boots. And realistically, the rank 1 Supercharger you've seen before, that's just going to give me those doubled attacks. The level 2 Boots now make my movement a 3, and I can spend 3 movement to move an adjacent enemy. So I guess in this case, I would probably have taken the Supercharger. So go ahead, roll this guy. We roll a 5. And with a 5, it says I get to choose what I would like to take. And since their light damage is awesome, I would absolutely take 2 light doublers, because that means that Gauntlet I've been crushing with is now double strength twice. Really cool. But now we go back to the book to take a look at what the story says. And it says, both Delvers die. We didn't. So end of wave. If one or both Delvers survive, go to 2.5. It says, after many hours of slow, cautious travel, you reach the perimeter. The down surveillance device is rotating like normal, but winged marmosets glide around it, entranced by its light. Before you can attack the creatures, the robot witness emits a loud beep and hovers towards them. He circles the creatures, reaching out his hand and gently guiding them away. He then detaches the contraption, inserts it into an available socket, and floats back down. Witness whirs as if pleased with himself. Your quest is complete. Add key item 1 to your key items. So coming back on screen, we see here I found this surveillance camera. It says recovered from the perimeter of Bird's Nest. Contains video and audio footage of recent activity in the tide. Then, as you begin to head back, you catch the faintest murmur of what sounds like frustrated shouting in the distance. You pause and listen intently for a quiet minute, but nothing else reaches you. Perhaps you imagined it. So I can return to town, or I can follow the shouts. Now, because it's already on the screen and you can see that, if I choose B, I would move on to another wave. And realistically, my characters are strong enough now that I probably could do that. But I don't want to show any more physical gameplay or sort of story. I don't want to show off any more of the gameplay, because I think you've seen enough now to see how the game works. So instead, I'm going to return to town just to keep this video from getting incredibly long, so you can see what the town phase looks like. So I'm going to choose A, and it says on your campaign sheet, record the number of minion and boss parts you've collected, and record that you've completed quest number 2. So this is my campaign sheet. You see I did the quest and the town visit from chapter 1, so right now we just finished quest 2. And a lot of this I haven't really written anything in, but you can see that this is where my player name would be written. They're both me in this case. And here we're going to keep track of how many creature parts we've gotten. So last time I spent absolutely everything on those 2 cards I have, but now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for orange. So I'm going to keep 7 here. And for blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as well. Cool. So we both got 7 minion parts. You'll see here, this is where I keep track of shop items I've already bought. There are apparently some tokens that I can gather later called circuit tokens. You'll see what this donations thing means in just a minute. And I just want to show off on the back. There are also a bunch of different people in town that we can sort of work with to really like us or unfortunately piss off and make them really not like us. And that will sort of affect how the story goes as well. And down here is a graveyard. Anytime one of your heroes, not the Delver, the person inside the Delver's suit, so I guess the Delver but not the suit, dies, you're going to record their name here and give them some final words. And what that means then is that hero card, that specific person that did die, is removed from the game. So in a future quest, you can't choose that character again. But anyway, let's go back to that storybook. And back at town, you'll see what happens. So again, it reminds us, remember to record your creature parts you earned on your campaign sheet, then read the relevant entry based on your performance in the previous quest. Good. Both Delvers did survive. So it says, as you step onto the docks, you nearly stumble from fatigue, but Nurse Elena catches your arm. Thank Gaia you're alive, Elena exclaims, fumbling with her first aid kit. I'm here to patch you up. You wonder where Dr. Ira is, but seeing the strained look on Elena's face, you decide not to mention it. As if reading your mind, she says, sorry, you'll have to make do with me this time. Now stay still. Oh no, I did it again. While enduring Elena's subpar treatment, you notice smoke rising behind a collection of rickety shacks. Suddenly, a cry rings out in the early morning air. The startled Nurse Elena drops her supplies and you look into the distance. The Delver's watchtower is completely engulfed in flames. Without another thought, you rush toward the fire as screams fill the air. So now it says continue progressing through the booklet until you see end of chapter 2. So now we're going to keep going through the burned watchtower. As you approach the crowd that has grown around the watchtower, intense flames burst out and the old structure begins to crumble into itself. It is clear that the fire had started burning inside the tower long before the alarms were set off. The crowd scatters and watches solemnly as the tower comes down, pieces flying off the cliff and disappearing into the mist. You quickly join the townsfolk in putting out the fire. Hours later, you spot Master Bram surveying the damage and join him. Only 2 townsfolk are unaccounted for, the Brass siblings. Beer was on guard duty, and we assume her brother Elias was up late doing research. I have to believe they're still alive. If you manage to find anything, any clues as to what may have caused this, I'd appreciate the help. Thank Gaia that Dr. Ira was awake to sound the alarm. He hands you a photo. Add key item 6 to your key items, which is this here good friend's picture. A picture of Rodrigo with Elias and Vera Brass. Elias seems uncomfortable, but the other 2 are having a blast. You begin to survey the area. Nearby you watch as Dr. Ira and her attendants set up triage for the injured. Not far off you notice Father Flores surrounded by his followers, heads bowed in prayer. Concerned townsfolk approach him to receive his blessings. He attends each one before approaching you with a pained smile. What a grim way to start your journey, Delvers. Yet you must remain strong in moments like this. The people of Bird's Nest depend on the Delvers in more ways than you can imagine. You tell Father Flores that you've been tasked with finding any clues on what caused the fire. At this, he frowns slightly, but quickly replaces it with a kind smile. But of course, my child. I fear the fire may have consumed everything, but I have full faith that if there's anything to be found, you will do so. You begin your search of the watchtower ruins, still warm from the heat of the fire. So now it says I've got to choose an option. A, you see a glint of something reflective off in the distance and decide to investigate the rubble strewn around the perimeter. B, you smell something acrid originating near the base of the tower and decide to identify its source. Or C, talk to Dr. Ira. And I think I'm going to go for B, I smell something acrid. Let's find out what happens. B, it says using a shovel you dig through the hot rubble until you find what looks to be a mostly intact human femur. There's something off about it. So it says add key item 4 to my key items, which is this large bone. Found in the rubble of the burned watchtower appears to be a mostly intact human femur, except it couldn't be human. It's far too large. So then we see, exhausted, you take the rest of the day off to recover. The following morning you decide to take a tour around town. Collectively gain 2 damage tokens. These represent the total number of locations you can visit this chapter. The book will tell you when to spend them. All right, so I get to choose an option. Visit the academy, check out the library, or head to the machinist. And I liked the library last time, so I'm going to do that again, but I'm going to start by visiting the academy. So page 27 says, "The Delving Academy stands resolutely against the shoreline. As you enter the stone hall, the bustle and chatter of students greets you. As you review the bulletin board displaying today's lectures, a voice calls out to you. Delvers, this is a surprise. Surely you don't miss your academy days that much. What brings you to our hallowed grounds?" Headmistress Arlen's arms are crossed, but there's a slight smile on her lips. You explain that you're searching for an explanation for the recent increase in tidal creature aggression. I see. Yes, you may be able to glean some knowledge from these old books and the minds of our instructors. She leans in close and whispers, "Bram told me about the down surveillance device. The robot is carrying it for you, right? I could help you review the footage directly if you like." You explain that Father Flores is expecting the device, but she waves that away. What he doesn't know can't hurt him. Besides, as a delver, you ought to have access to unfiltered information if you mean to succeed in your investigations. So we get to choose an option. I can either hand over the surveillance device to Headmistress Arlen to gain knowledge, or I can politely decline and attend the lecture, The Evolving Tide, from lecturer Xavier Morales instead, which grants wisdom, bonus effect if I own key item 2. I do not own key item 2, so let's give the surveillance device to Headmistress Arlen. I know I'm supposed to give it to Father Flores, but let's see what happens. So we go to A, and it says, you hand over the surveillance device to Headmistress Arlen, and she motions for you to follow her to the research wing. Without a word, she delicately attempts to extract and copy the footage, her slender fingers clacking away at the keyboard. That should do it. Come, Delvers, and see the fruits of your labor. The footage shows Vera Brass's colorful Delver suit stumbling through the mist in a state of panic. A group of small creatures resembling koalas are in hot pursuit. The Delver trips in their haste to escape before leaving the frame. Strange. Tide huggers are quite docile. You take one out and the rest scatter. Vera is our best Delver. She would know that. Regardless, this is certainly pertinent to your investigation. Headmistress Arlen returns the surveillance device. So we're going to add quest 5, the Rogue Delver, to our open quests. We're going to increase her opinion on the back of our campaign sheet, and we'll gain her opinion card. All right, so again, on our sheet now here, I increase her opinion. So we go from neutral now to ally here. And that gives me this ally card here of Headmistress Arlen, which says, the reward says the next batch of Delvers received the best equipment result regardless of your donation level. You'll see what that means in just a minute. And then we've got this new quest, the Rogue Delver. So back into the book it says, after resolving, discard 1 damage token, which means we still have 1 left. So we get to go back and choose a different location, which I am going to choose the library this time. Going back to the library, it says, as you enter, you find Dr. Ira and the librarian Rodrigo in conversation. Not wanting to interrupt, you hang back. And the painkillers? Are they helping your father? Dr. Ira asks. It's helping him manage the pain, he responds. Thank Gaia you were there to treat him. Dr. Ira grimaces and shakes her head. He always was one to throw caution to the wind. That's my pops, always first on the scene. As soon as he heard the sirens, he was out the door. Oh, before I forget, here are the books you asked for. It's then he notices you. Welcome, Delvers. I'll be right with you. You catch a glimpse of the titles, Hidden Helix, The Secrets in Our DNA, and Ancient Eugenics. Dr. Ira observes your glance. I heard your search through the rubble proved fruitful. Any lead on the cause of the fire or the whereabouts of the Brass siblings? When you shake your head in response, Dr. Ira sighs. Occam's razor would suggest it was an accident caused by the Brass siblings, who then fled the scene. Rodrigo adds, his voice catching. I heard there were bones found in the rubble. I hope Elias made it out okay. Dr. Ira put a hand on his shoulder. A plan beats hope any day. Let's hope Elias had one. She bids goodbye. Rodrigo turns to you and asks, so, how can I help you? So I can choose to ask about Elias Brass, granting knowledge. I can ask about the books Dr. Ira checked out, affecting favor. And I can ask about his father, granting knowledge as well. I think I want to ask about the books, because it's talking about secrets in the DNA, and we just found this giant bone. Let's see what's going on. B. You asked Rodrigo about the books he gave to Dr. Ira. It's all I could find on DNA with such short notice. Her interests are geared towards experimental research, mutation, genetic engineering, that kind of thing. Oh, shoot, I forgot to give her this one. Would you do me a big favor and deliver it to her? I really shouldn't leave my post. He thanks you profusely and hands over Nature's Mutations and where to find them. Increase Rodrigo's opinion, recording it on the back of my campaign sheet. Again, checking here, ally. And then I'm going to get his ally card, which unfortunately looks like I did not get in this prototype, so I can't show you that, but we'll keep going. It says you catch up to Dr. Ira and hand over the book. Thank you, Delvers. I've been searching all over for this title. Knowledge is power, after all. Now we are going to discard that second damage token, means I have none left, so we're going to go on to page 33. Back to the town center. It says, Delving Academy fundraising request. Delvers, we have 2 promising students graduating, but due to a funding shortfall, we can't afford to get them the training and equipment they need to reach their full potential. Can I count on you to give the next generation of Delvers the leg up they deserve, like Vera Brass once did for you? Before deciding how many minion parts to collectively donate to the Delving Academy, continue on to the shop section to consider the other ways you can spend your minion parts. Once you've decided how you want to spend them, mark how many you've decided to donate to the Delving Academy on the area of your campaign sheet. You won't find out the impact of this decision until after you donated. It says see hints on the right, which I'll do in just a second, but first, visiting the shops. Add shops products 8 to 12 to your purchasable products. And then it says if you have 2 to 3 total icons in your key items, add 13. If you have 4 plus, add 14. Well, looking back at my items, I do have the surveillance camera, which does not have any of those icons on it, but both the large bone and the good friends picture do, so I do have 2. So I won't get 14, but I will add 13 as well. Then it says if either player is in possession of less than 10 parts, increase their count to 10. Well, we both had 7, so now we both have 10 instead. I'm not going to bother searching for an eraser. I'll just write that out right now because I'm not going to go through with all of this because we're not playing further. But it says now each player can purchase products from your purchasable products, using their minion and or boss parts, gaining that card. The exception is part 8, which I'll show you in just a second, which is your persistent donation option. At any time, you may convert a boss part into minion parts at a rate of 3 parts per level of boss part. All right, so before I go to the shop, just while we're on this page, looking at the donation, it says, if I donate 1, it's going to say, you were kicked the ladder out from under you, type I see. Donating 4 says, thank you. With this, we'll be able to arm our new recruits with more than just the standard equipment. 7 says, that's very generous. Our new students are going to be well armed for their first foray into the tide, thanks to you. And 11 says, this is incredible. Now we can equip them with our most state-of-the-art equipment. But remembering, I have this ally card that says, the next batch of Delvers receive the best equipment result regardless of my donation level. So there's no reason for me to donate anything this time. So what I want to show you is all of the stuff I've got in the shop, including stuff from last time that I didn't buy last time. We've got this starting with a supercharger for 6 minion parts, starting with a trident for 7 minion parts, starting with 2 reroll tokens for 5 minion parts, starting with 1 fire element for 4 minion parts, starting with 1 of these earth elements for 4 minion parts. This is that donation one I was showing you before. The cost is whatever you're donating, and then you record it on the campaign sheet. Again, showing you here, there is an area for donations. Then this one lets you start with 2 medium, plus 2 medium damage. So you're going to increase the level of your medium damage if you have that, which would be great for my blue guy since he's got a ton of medium damage stuff. This one starts you with 1 enemy counterattack for 4 minion parts. I should show this as 15 minion parts and 1 level 2 boss part, which I don't even have right now. This one here for 14 minion parts would get me 1 of each light and dark. I've been calling that moon, but yeah, light and dark. Here you start with a grenade for 7 minion parts, and this final one here lets you start with an additional 4 damage on all of your heavy attacks, but that costs 18 minion parts and 1 level 3 boss part, which I also don't have. In any case, I'm not going to shop because there is no continuation of this, because this is all I've been given access to, but I will show you on the next page. We are getting 2 new recruits, which I'll show you in just a second when we come back to the camera. And then it says, based on what you did, and again, remembering I have that Arlen ally that's going to give me the automatic biggest thing possible. 0 to 2 donation got me nothing. 3 to 5 gets me +1 OS rank to an equipment slot of your choice. and the other person gets +1 battery rank to an equipment slot of your choice. And I'm not fully sure what equipment slots are because I don't have a suit condition sheet. But I think that is what is going to become of these in the newest version of the game, because if you haven't seen already on the campaign, they've switched from being a legacy game with stickers to now being a replayable campaign with sheets that you're writing stuff on. So anyway, 6 to 9 get +2 OS rank and +2 battery, and 10 plus, each player gets +2 rank of your choice of equipment to an equipment slot. So that's what I would be getting because I have an ally of Arlen. Then finishing up the chapter, again, I will show you those 2 new characters in a second. Father Flores' office. Before finishing your work for the day, you stop by Father Flores' office to drop off the surveillance device. Gaia's blessing upon you. What with all of the chaos from the fire, I confess that I'd forgotten about it completely. Discard key item 1. So we don't have the surveillance camera anymore. We just gave it to him. It says, a day later, you're resting at home when your comms device lights up. It's Master Bram. Delvers, I regret to inform you that Father Flores did not find any new relevant information from the surveillance device. However, one of our other Delvers uncovered tracks near the tower leading into the tide. They appear to match Vera Brass's Delver suit. So here it says to add quest 5, the Rogue Delver, to my open quests, but I already have that from when I met with the headmistress Arlen. And it says that here, if I've already discovered quest 5, I get to gain a circuit token. So I'm not sure yet what those are for because this is as far as I've seen in the game, but I would be getting a circuit token here because I did find that quest already. On my campaign sheet now I check off I finished chapter 2's town visit, and we do move on to the next chapter. But I don't have that, and I don't have anything else of this game. The only other things I want to show you are a couple of things that I do have in this box that are things that are coming up. I do want to show you the 2 new characters. We do get one more blue and one more orange. This one here starts with a level 2 trident and a level 1 mace. So only 2 cards, but one of them is leveled up from the beginning. Same thing here, level 2 grenade and level 1 beam. Again, only 2 cards, but one of which is leveled up. So those are pretty cool new heroes. The other thing I want to show you, I don't want to show you the back of it because I don't want to give away any story or interesting things, but it looks like Witness. This is what Witness actually looks like, not the giant metal behemoth that I was using. But Witness, I guess, is recovering memories. And on the back of these, there is some sort of memory that's being recovered. And I don't really want to show you what those are because I don't want to give away any more story stuff. The other thing I do want to show off is some of the minis. I do have minis from the Chapter 1 enemies, and I want to show those off. These don't come with the core game. These are an expansion or sort of an add-on in the current Gamefound campaign, and I want to show what they are. In the first wave, or the very first chapter, first quest of the game, you're fighting off against these Christinid spiders, and the boss is this giant soul hunter, sort of crab spider. And these, again, are the cards that would be on the board. And with the minis, you do get minis for all of the bosses. So before I show them off again, I want to show off one more time the minis for the 2 Delvers, because I do really love the sculpts in this game. The minis look really, really, really nice. Lots of really cool detail, really very well sculpted. And I say that because I want to show off the minis for the bosses or for the enemies as well. This is the regular minion, sort of spider looking. It's kind of like a crab spider, but again, really nice mini, really nice sculpt, looks really cool, great size. There's also, and unfortunately it did fall apart in shipping, but again, this is a prototype, but onto this base sits this massive crab, lobster, spider, crustacean beast. Really cool sculpt, would look really, really, really nice painted up. Very, very cool. That said, for me, since I am sort of giving my thoughts on this, and I will talk more about the gameplay itself in my final thoughts, but while I'm talking about sort of the componentry here, I do have to say I don't really understand the minis, because your Delvers, of course, are walking around the board doing things, but the enemies don't move unless you're moving them, and that means that this sits on top of that card. And more importantly, this isn't going to work because it's falling apart, but this sits on top of this card. Which means now you can see already on camera what the problem is from my point of view is that I can't see any of the information on these cards. For the small ones, it's not bad. I can still kind of see what's there. But for this big one, I'm going to have to pick it up and move it and check it every single time I play. And if you're a fan of minis, I think these minis are really nice minis, or giant. I don't know if I'd call this a mini. Very, very nice sculpt. Very, very nice to paint. And it's kind of cool to have them just to see what the creatures look like that you're fighting against. But do understand that in this case, I think without the minis is the way to go, because you kind of lose some experience by covering that up with, not so much with the little guys, but with the bosses. It completely just covers up all of the relevant information on the cards. So in my case, I would say this is a game where the minis are not really helpful in any kind of gameplay way. But again, if you do like collecting minis, these are some very nice sculpts and they look really, really cool. So it may still be something you want. I just want to point out that in this case, it does kind of hinder the gameplay to have them there. Otherwise, everything is prototype quality. I can't really comment on how everything is because everything is not what it's going to be when it comes out, but I do like the usefulness and the way that these boards are designed. Very easy to understand what's going on, very easy to see levels of things, very cool way that the cards go in and out and these elements go in and out to get those cards back. The board itself, beautiful, beautiful illustration on there. It is just a grid of cards, but the cards as well. I do really, really love the artwork in this game. It's got this very cool painterly quality about it. Everything looks great. These card organizers are some of the best card organizers I've ever seen in any game. It's cool because, I don't know if you can see it on camera, each of the different icons for the different weapons and things are printed on each of these dividers. And then the cards slot in really nicely, very easy to get them in and out. Very easy to see at an angle what everything is because everything's printed right there. Huge thumbs up on this divider. And again, things can only get better in the final version of the game. Otherwise, there's not much else for me to talk about. I'm a big fan visually and physically what I'm seeing here. Maybe back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the gameplay, the sort of mechanical gameplay itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. I do want to apologize a little bit for showing so much story in this game, as it is basically a narrative campaign game. But seeing as this is only the second chapter and what's supposed to be about a 40-hour campaign, I don't think I showed off too much, and I did really want to show off all of the different facets of how this game works. So yes, I have to say right up front that I am a huge fan of everything that I'm seeing in this game so far. Granted, this game is currently on Gamefound as I'm recording this video, so there's a lot of stuff that I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that's still in sort of prototype form. There are a lot of things that could potentially change moving forward, so I can't comment specifically. This is not a review. It is strictly a preview of this game. But I kind of already knew going in for my demo at PAX Unplugged last year that I was very interested in this game, and now with improved artwork, updated artwork on cards, everything looking sort of closer and closer to the final product, I have to say I continue to enjoy this game and then enjoy it even more. So let me sort of give you an idea of what it is about this game that I enjoy so much. Well, at its core, it is a narrative campaign game, and already the world that this is set in, sort of our world has been sort of taken over by the Earth, or the Earth got tired of us destroying the world and sort of created this poisonous pink fog that has now covered the Earth, and we've sort of run away up into the mountains to hide in this little bit of land that still exists above this nasty stuff, looking for some way to sort of fix and return the planet to what it once used to be. Now, this is granted 1,000 years in the future after all of this has happened, but we're basically setting out to find this beacon that's called Gaia to, I guess, hopefully figure out what's going on and make everything better again if possible. In any case, the story that it's telling is really, really interesting. And I'm really enjoying so far what I've seen with the story. There's not a whole lot of town stuff that I've gotten a chance to do because, again, this is just a prototype, but I'm enjoying that. When you go to town, it gives you the ability to upgrade things, but also it's giving you the ability to learn more about the world. And ultimately, at first sort of glance, the world is what's pulling me into this game, sort of thematically, right? The different kinds of things I can do, the different kinds of people I can talk to, and more importantly, each of the people actually means something in the story because we're sort of based on our interactions with those people, influencing them in different ways, and sort of getting special powers or abilities or changing the rules or changing the way the story works out based on how we're interacting with these people and what our relationships are like with those people. So it feels really cool that I'm digging into this world. I'm part of this world sort of as a living, interacting being amongst other beings in this world, and that the story is sort of playing out in a semi-mystery fashion, in a semi-sort of save the world fashion, in a semi-sort of post-apocalypse, but in a beautiful, natural kind of post-apocalyptic setting. All of that I'm really, really enjoying. But if it was just a setting, I'm not really gonna be pulled into the game. Luckily, this game, the game itself, the core sort of mechanisms, core mechanics of this game work really, really well. So this game, aside from the narrative stuff that happens in between sessions, is going to basically feel like a roguelite game, something a la Hades if you played that. Now, granted, this is not an action battler like Hades is, but the point is, as you play each sort of session of this game, each chapter, each mission that you're going on, you're going to be fighting against enemies and slowly leveling up piece by piece by piece by piece as you're playing each of these scenarios. And each of these scenarios could have multiple waves of different kinds of enemies coming out to fight against you. And throughout those waves, from wave to wave, you are continuing to grow stronger while the enemies are also continuing to grow stronger so that you can continue doing more damage, doing cool different kinds of abilities, comboing different things, chaining different things together, and growing as you play. But then as soon as you're done a given scenario and you do go back to town and you do all of that narrative stuff, everything resets back to the beginning. Except that in the town phases, you are then doing some other things that could potentially be giving you sort of permanent upgrades, buying items, or actually upgrading the suit that you're wearing. Because the suit, the sort of theme of this game is that you are a delver, putting on this huge sort of diving suit going down into the poison. This suit protects you from the poison. So you personally have some kind of starting equipment, some kind of starting abilities, but the suit that you're wearing can also be leveled up. So in between these different scenarios, you might be sort of growing or building the suit itself, which means that based on these items you're buying, based on these upgrades to suits, based on, again, the relationship with people that you're meeting along the way, when you start the next scenario, you are starting back at zero as far as the health goes back to regular health and the available things go back to first level rank and so on. But then you get a little bit of extra boost based on the items and the suit upgrades and so on that you've unlocked. So you've got this constant small growth that's permanent, and then you've got this cool ramping larger growth during each of these scenarios that resets every time you play. And in addition to fighting the enemies, you're collecting minion parts and boss parts, which are basically pieces of the enemies you're destroying. And those pieces are what you're using to upgrade and buy things along the way. So it feels good that even when you're failing in a scenario, you could still be collecting a bunch of stuff and then going back to town to make sure that the next time you come back and do something, you're starting off a little bit stronger than you were before. And also because of the variability of the setup, every time you play, you might level up in different ways and grow in different kinds of patterns to be able to have different abilities that chain in different ways, that do damage in different ways, and all of it ties together really well. But I'm talking big. Let's go smaller. The way that the game actually plays is a pretty much tactical. There's definitely some strategy involved, because there is some long-term planning that can happen, but the leveling up is going to be somewhat random. So very tactical battle kind of game where you're fighting against the boss and a bunch of different minions, and now they may have special abilities specifically for whatever the enemy is that you're fighting. But the way that the game is going to work is you've got a set of weapon cards for each of your characters, and you've got a player board with slots in it, each of which is associated with a different sort of element type. And you're going to play the weapon into one of those slots, activating that weapon. And when you activate that weapon, that means you're taking a turn. If you don't have any weapons to activate, you can't take any turns, and you must pass on your turn. But when you take a turn, you have an action and a movement. The movement can happen before or after the action, moving around on the map. It is a square grid-based map. And then the action is either to use the attack of the weapon or use the action of the slot that you've played it into, or starting in this second chapter, you've got this robot called Witness that you can then use as your action to move them around, simply collecting minion parts that have been dropped around the board. But most of the time, you're going to be using the weapon to attack something or making use of the slot. And the slots are generally going to be adding extra movement, getting you action points that get you special additional action, or adding elements to the sort of slots above the cards. You'll also be collecting these elements occasionally when you defeat enemies, because when you defeat enemies, they will drop minion parts or boss parts, as well as either give you experience or give you elements. And these elements are extremely important because once you've played a weapon card down into a slot on your player board, it stays there forever. Unless you can activate both element slots, so both pieces or both tokens of a single element above that weapon, and then that card comes back into your hand and those elements are removed from the board. So you really have to do that because remember I mentioned if you don't have a weapon, you don't get a turn, you got to pass. And once you've passed, you're done for that wave, for that sort of round of the game, a round of the battle. So you really, really have to make sure that you're constantly trying to figure out how to get your cards back into your hand. You'll also start with 3 action points that you can potentially get some back or potentially add more to. And you can use those as well. 1 action point will let you double your movement. 2 action points will let you refresh a card without using the elements. And if you can ever get up to 5 action points, which I haven't done in this prologue, obviously, or in this prototype, you can spend 5 action points to get all of the played cards back from every slot on your board. So using these action points, which are very, very few and far between, and using the elements, either getting them from killing enemies or by playing cards in one slot to get an element in a different slot to unlock that card and bring it back to your hand, you have to try for as long as you can to extend the amount of time or the amount of turns you get based on getting these weapons back and using them and getting them back and using them. And you can also play off each other because anytime somebody gets an element, both of the 2 characters get that element. So you can help each other out by helping refresh cards from specific slots and so on, killing enemies on the other player's turn so both of you get an element, so both of you get a card back, and so on. But on top of that, there's this very spatial puzzle aspect to this tactical battler as well, because each of the enemies is a card with 8 cardinal, well, 4 north, south, east, and west, and then the 4 diagonal directions as well. And all of those are marked with arrows. The arrows will either be white or black, and it will be somewhere between 1 and 3 arrows on each of those 8 locations on the card. After attacking an enemy, that enemy will immediately counterattack or will attempt to counterattack, and you're going to roll a die. So first you attack as many enemies as you can based on the weapon that you've played. And then all of the enemies that have been damaged by you on that turn will get a chance to counterattack. You're going to roll a die once for all of those enemies that have been hit. A roll of a 1 means they don't hit anything. They don't counterattack at all. A roll of 2, 3, 4, or 5 means that they're going to counterattack in any direction that has a white arrow. For a distance means a number of spaces away from that card equal to the number of arrows in that direction. And then if you roll a 6, the white arrows don't attack, but instead the black arrows do the same way. The number of arrows means the distance away from that card that can be hit by that counterattack. So when you're lining up your attacks, you're trying to line up your attacks to make sure that the weapon you're using is used to its biggest efficiency, but then also trying to put yourself into a place where you won't get hit back after you've hit the enemy. And you have to remember that both of you are on the board at the same time. So it could be that I hit an enemy, and if my partner is in a location that's being hit by that counterattack, they will also get hit in that counterattack. So it's really, really important to think about positioning. So positioning where you are to attack, positioning where you are to avoid being attacked, and then also running around the board, picking up all of these minion pieces and boss pieces that get dropped as you kill the enemies so that you can collect a bunch of stuff and level up a bunch in between these different scenarios. Really, really, really cool stuff. But then I mentioned this is sort of a roguelike get in, do as much as you can and get out, resetting and trying again kind of game. And that's because the enemy doesn't get a turn in between your turns. You're going to take all of your turns until you run out of cards and have to pass. And then the enemies are basically going to retaliate and escape. They're not trying to kill you right away. They're just trying to get away from you. So whatever's left on the board after you've passed, both of you have passed, is going to trigger. And each of these enemies may have something that says like remove some elements from your board, or lose XP, or most likely do damage to you. And you're going to take all of whatever that negative is on all of the cards that are left on the board at the end of that wave when you've passed on both of your players' turns. And assuming then that you still survive, you will move on, and you'll get the chance to either retreat, means going back to town and doing a town phase, bringing back all of the minion pieces that you collected, or assuming that that scenario continues, then moving on to the next wave, during which you're going to activate a little mini story that does kind of a choose your own adventure kind of thing, and then you'll set up for the next wave and keep going until you retreat again. Now, if both of your characters are killed at that point, then you're sort of carried back to the town by the robot helper. Unfortunately, that means the characters that you're using in that game are dead and removed from the game, but you can select new characters and then continue on with the story. And of course, the story is going to change based on whether you died or retreated or continued moving on to the wave. The one last thing, not last thing, but one more thing I want to talk about with this tactical battle system is the level up system. So every character starts with a set of cards, and those cards are either going to be weapons or passive cards, depending on the type of card that that specific character starts with. Passive cards do things like giving you defense ability by spending an element to block damage, or a sort of health ability that allows your max health and your current health to go up a little bit higher, or the ability to start with special weapons. There are also some passives that start you with different consumable tokens that will potentially double the damage that you do when you attack with a weapon, or will start you off with an extra action point, or will start you off with some reroll tokens that will allow you to reroll those enemy counterattack rolls, and so on. But the point is, you're starting off with these cards, and generally you're starting off at rank 1 or level 1 cards, unless you've got some item or something from a previous scenario that starts you off a little bit stronger. But then every time you kill an enemy, they're dropping minion parts or boss parts, and then either giving you elements or experience points. And as you collect experience points, there are different sort of thresholds of experience for levels. Level 1 is 1, I think level 2 is 3 experience, and so on. If you spend that much experience, you move to the next level. When you move to a level, you also draw a level card. This is also true when you beat a boss. If you kill a boss, you don't level up, but you still draw one of these level cards. And the level cards are generally going to give you three sort of card types that you could potentially level up to the next level. If you don't already have a card of that type, you just get a level 1 card of that type. And if you do already have a card of that type, you'll level it up to whatever the next level or rank higher is. And this is going to give you an option of 3, so it might give you 3 different kinds of weapons, or 2 different kinds of weapons and a passive, a shield, or a battery, or some kind of protection. And you need to decide which of these 3 cards fits better in with your sort of longer term strategy or build of that character that might make them more powerful as they go on. And this is really cool because it's random what you're getting, except it's a random choice of 3 things. So while all 3 of those are random, you get to pick the one that suits you better. But on top of that, you really have to pay attention to whether you're upgrading a card or getting a new card. Because remember, the more weapons I have, the more turns I can have before that pass ultimately has to happen at the end of the wave. But if I just keep getting more and more and more level 1 cards, I'm just doing tiny little attack, tiny little attack, tiny little attack. So even if I can stretch out the number of turns that I get, I'm not really accomplishing that much more. Whereas if I have a weapon that's really helpful for me and really ties in with the other cards and really builds in nice chains and combos, if I keep leveling up that weapon, every time I hit with that weapon, it's powerful. I do a giant attack, or I do some kind of special thing that really helps me in some kind of way. So even if I have a few less turns, I can still get more stuff done. So this balance of getting more stuff to give myself more turns, but also leveling up the stuff I have to give those turns or make those turns more powerful turns really, really feels unique and is really exciting. Very different than anything I've ever played before. It's not just about being as strong as you possibly can. This idea of timing and how to get cards back to you using the different elements and so on is a very interesting mechanical loop that I've never seen before, and I really love the way that it's working. And then on top of that, again, I mentioned all of the bosses and minions have unique abilities that might make them do something special, like you have to kill them in a specific order, or after hitting them, they all rotate so that their attack directions change up. And that's all that I've seen. Those are only the things that I've seen in the prototype. There's going to be many more items, many more enemies, many more things that tweak up the rules, tweak up the way that this game plays. And then on top of it, again, all of the fun narrative, all of the cool sort of NPC interaction stuff that's happening, all of the sort of choose your own adventure stuff, all of the sort of mystery that's slowly starting to come out of the story about what's actually going on in this world. I am hooked. This game, I think, is a definite perfect match for me. This campaign has me incredibly excited. There's a couple more things on the campaign. I just want to point out quickly, there is the ability to upgrade to get miniatures for all of the enemies and all of the bosses. I do want to point out here, this is one negative I might have for this campaign, is that if you are a big fan of miniatures and you're buying the miniatures because you want to have cool miniatures and they're nice miniatures and so on, more power to you. The miniatures that I've seen for this game are beautiful. The sculpts are really nice. And it's really cool to have a physical embodiment of the sort of enemies that you are fighting available to you to see, to pull you more into the story, more into the scenario, and so on. But this is one of the sort of rare cases where I think that actually owning the minis for the game detracts from the game experience. And that's because the enemies themselves are the cards. And if you place a giant mini on top of the card, and I showed this off in my components section at the end of my playthrough piece of this video, it covers up a lot of the important information on that card. Now, while it does look cool to see all of these enemies out on the board standing there with you and you actually feel more like you're fighting these creatures, it just makes the game that much harder to play because every time you want to check to see, is the enemy going to hit me if I stand here? How far away can the enemy reach? Which enemies are doing what? How much damage do they do? How much health do they have left? All of that is obscured by having this mini on top. So this is a case where I would absolutely not recommend getting the minis for gameplay purposes. But again, the sculpts that I've seen are beautiful. I really love what the minis look like. So if you are somebody who's buying minis just to have the minis and to pull yourself more thematically into the game, they are very good minis. So I will point that out like that. The other interesting thing that's coming with this campaign as another add-on or part of the larger pledges is there's apparently a dating sim expansion that ties into this game as well. And seeing that originally, thematically with this game of this giant world sort of falling apart, you going into this world to figure out what's going on, to try and make things better, big narrative storytelling campaign plus dating sim, my head said, huh? But I'm intrigued. I'm incredibly intrigued because I see the writing that's happening here. I see the character development that's happening here. I see the names on this box. I know this is Gauntlet. This is Isaac Vega's company. And knowing him and knowing his touch on things, if from any company I'm excited to see a dating sim happening, this is the company that I'm curious to see what dating sim plus big narrative campaign means. And I think that I'm very excited to see where this goes. And I'm definitely want to try out this dating sim and see how it ties into the narrative of this story, how it fleshes out the characters that are in this story. I'm very, very curious to see where it goes. And I'm pretty sure that Isaac is very strongly involved in like the BIPOC lounge and so on at some of these large conventions. So I'm guessing that this dating sim will also be very, very diverse and inclusive for all different types of people and walks of life, which makes me very excited to see how this ties into everything in this world. Again, beautiful world, interesting beginnings of threads of story, really cool tactical battling with some long-term strategic or at least strategic thinking about how things level up and how things build within a small game, but then also in between scenarios at town, fleshing things out as well. Again, little complaint about the minis, but I'm not a minis guy anyway. Otherwise, there's not really anything negative I can say about this game. I am incredibly excited, and I cannot wait for this game to be finally finished and published and out there for everybody to play, including me. Waiting to see what this dating sim brings. Can't wait to see more about that. Huge thumbs up for me on this one. If you're a fan of narrative campaigns, if you're a fan of sort of tactical, spatial, battle, puzzle kind of action adventure style games, definitely give this one a look. Again, as I'm recording this video, this is already live on Gamefound. I will put a link to that campaign down below in the description. I've also put a link down there to the One Stop Co-op Shop video so that you can watch Chapter 1 if you'd like to see what I skipped over in this video. That's basically all I have to say. Again, huge fan of what I've seen. Can't wait to see more. And I really can't wait now to see what's next from Rose Gauntlet because, yeah, I enjoyed the stuff they started making. This is getting even bigger, cooler, greater. I'm happy. Can't wait to see more. That's basically all I've got. As always, I hope that this video was helpful for you. And if it was, I do ask that you please remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below. And I'll see you all next time. Thanks.